Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, here with my lovely co-hosts. We have Phil. How are you doing today, Phil?
Doing great. We've been around the world now, and it's over. I'm sad, but it was a great season.
You know what? I haven't seen an actual globe in a while. I don't know if it's like from like high school or middle school. Like, where are these hiding?
So for my wedding, we put globes as the centerpieces for every table. We got these really nice globes, and we did our wedding was like a game show theme. So the winner at each table got to take it home, a nice globe for their office or something. So it was good.
Why is that?
I love globes.
The most fun wedding ever? I wish that I was invited. Maybe your 10-year anniversary surprise.
I know. We did it. Yeah. I'll do it again. I'll do a wedding anytime. I mean, we did it for the money. So
smart. Yeah. Well, if this is your first time on Reality Realness, well then welcome. We are very happy to have you. Please join us in the comments. We love talking to you about our favorite reality TV shows. And today we're talking about the finale of The Amazing Race. 32. Wow. Okay. Overall thoughts of the finale, and then we're gonna get right into it. Oh no, then we'll do the survey.
Oh, I've got to get the survey ready. Why don't you talk about your thoughts on the season? I'll get the survey up.
So, I liked the final 3. I think we pretty much knew that they were going to be the final 3 for a little while. We thought that maybe D'Angelo and Gary might sneak in there, maybe, but we kind of had a feeling that those 3 were going to pull it off and get to the end. I found that the challenges, they weren't as difficult as I thought they were going to be. I've definitely seen a lot, some easier and some harder final leg challenges. But overall, I thought it was a rewarding finale. I laughed, I cried, I was on the edge of my seat. I think that it definitely was emotionally impactful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've
really enjoyed the season. I think it's been a great. The best part I think for this whole season was the casting. I think that the cast was great. I do think that in some ways this season, some of the tasks seem a little bit more simpler for some reason throughout, and I do think that the finale. I don't know. Obviously, I mean, these are 3 strong teams, and the team that ends up winning, they did not hit any snags at all, and I think that just shows how strong that they were. And the other 2 teams did hit snags, but I think it kind of felt like to a viewer, it was like, oh, well, they're just breezing by all of this. But the other teams did struggle on certain things. So I don't know. I think that it was the right winner. And I know that's tough for you to believe that I'm saying that, but they really manipulated this race very well to help them get to the win. And they did a great job.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure if they were the ultimate brainchild, but they definitely enforced having the big alliance, and they were pro having the smaller alliance within it. And, I've played many social strategy games, and it is important to have a large alliance and then have a smaller controlling alliance within it. That if you want to get to the final 3, you have to have a final 3 within a big alliance in this climate of reality TV. It was really it's quite unusual to see this kind of gameplay within The Amazing Race. So it did make for a couple of not so exciting legs, but I think that as a gamer, for them they gamed The Amazing Race. They figured out how to use what they know about competitive reality shows to get them to the end where they were in a fighting chance to win the money. And so it was really quite amazing that their final 3 actually became the final 3. I think that's pretty impressive.
And their final 5 became the final 5. I mean, I really think, though, you're going to see teams in the next couple of Amazing Races trying this. Yeah, I think it's probably more difficult than it seems like in a Survivor where it's about a vote. this is complete trust on, like, we're going to a task. We may not see you for the whole leg, but we're working with you and we're going to help everybody through it. And some of us are strong teams and don't turn on us. And they locked it in. And I don't know if it's going to be easy for other people to do, but it was interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I got the survey up.
Yes.
So we started with, did you enjoy, so some of this is from last leg. Did you enjoy this leg having no detours and roadblocks? The majority of the people said yes, they did. They enjoyed that, not having the detours and roadblocks. Which leg 11 task was hardest? Pretty much everybody said the flag music challenge. That's not a surprise. Nobody thought, there's only one person, but most people thought nobody should tell Gary and D'Angelo about the Alliance of Three. Favorite country? Well, this surprised me. I thought people would be more open to the countries that we visited, but the favorite country that the Amazing Race visited was the United States. So I'm like, okay, well, I thought that the U.S. was kind of boring compared to some of these other countries.
I don't remember where they were in the United States.
Well, I know, like they ended in Louisiana, but at the beginning they weren't even there for very long. They went straight to the airport, so I don't know. But Trinidad and Tobago got some votes. France, Germany, Kazakhstan, Cambodia. I mean, there were some great locations that they went to. Overall, pretty much everybody said yes. They'll say that this was a good season of The Amazing Race. And for the question of who will win, it was a tie between Riley and Madison and Will and James. And for who do they want to see win, overwhelmingly, it was Hung and Chi.
Absolutely.
So there we go.
You're pretty much right about it all, except for best country. Interesting.
Best country was weird.
Dolores agrees that it was a plan that worked, and it's pretty it's pretty surprising because you don't know who's going to be where, who's going to be on what flight. So the fact that they made it so early on, that final 5 pact, we were able to honor it, and it worked. They didn't really know each other at that point, so like maybe their personalities would have clicked. Maybe they, somebody wouldn't follow through with something. Like, it would be very easy for that to crumble, and at no fault of anybody's, but like, they're running a race. And so the fact that they could hold that together is like, man, that was pretty
very difficult to do.
So they're going from the Philippines to New Orleans. I guess this saw the preview. Maybe that's where they thought that the United States was most exciting. Maybe. New Orleans, I've never been. Have you? I can't remember.
I have not been to New Orleans. I almost did. I did have a friend who was in New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina hit, a Canadian friend who got stuck down there with their family. That was back in 2005, I think it was. But I don't know tons about New Orleans, but it does look good. I know that they have serious water issues to this day in New Orleans. So.
Dolores.
Dolores. All right.
Like, seeing the costumes, absolutely. Like, I really would like to. I like that fun atmosphere and like walking around with drinks in the middle of the streets, and they have a lot of like voodoo things going on there as well. So I like that side of things. There's like a jazz community in there. I believe it was originally a French colony, so there's French speakers over there. So I find that it's I don't find in general that American cities are that cultured, but I feel like this is a very cultured American city. And so it is on my list on places to visit, because I do want to hear more about the history of how that city kind of all came together. So it was cool seeing, for sure. Dolores has been. Oh, you've been to New Orleans. It was fun to see for you. I mean, I definitely want to go and see it as well. What was their last task on the last leg? Like, I didn't remember the last leg at all. So that shows how maybe I need to have the roadblock and the detours to be able to differentiate the actual episode. But
so the last task was the having to listen to the 4 songs being played by a band and then match the country flags in the order that they visited, not in the order that the songs are being played.
The reason why I was asking is because there was only a 5-minute difference between the three of them. So basically, at 5:58 is when the Bros left, and then 6:01 was when Will and James left, and then 6:03 was when Hung and Chi left. So if it was still in the same time frame as when they arrived to the pit stop, it's been like only a 5-minute difference. I mean, I know they were sharing answered, but it just seemed a little more spread out,
Yeah. I think the taxis must have been good for them, and sadly, that means like probably Gary and D'Angelo were, what was it, 2 hours behind that?
Right.
Because they took that penalty, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, brutal. So they got to fly first class. You can see Will stretching out his long, what is he, 6'6" or 6'8"? Like he's tall drink of water. They're kind of in their kind of pods on their long flight for the Philippines to New Orleans, Louisiana, NOLA, and they're going to the French Quarter. They have to get to Louis Armstrong Park. Now, they're in an American city, so the communication with the cab drivers, it should be pretty good. But I really did feel as though Riley and Madison had a cab driver that didn't want to be there. Maybe they didn't want to have the camera there or whatnot, but it just didn't seem as though the cab driver wanted to be driving them wherever they needed to go. And it seemed to be true because he didn't even take them to the right location, and basically was the reason why they fell behind both Will and James and Hung and Chi. What were you just screaming? Like, how did you feel about poor Riley and Madison?
Yeah, I mean, this was why they lost the race, was this cab. I mean, they didn't really falter on any of the actual tasks. So this cost them $1 million, was this cab driver, and sometimes it comes down to that. I was shocked. I did feel when they got out of the cab, it really felt like it took them a long time to find the park. And it didn't really seem like they were that far from the park. So I don't know. Hopefully we get to hear how far they actually were when they got dropped off to the park, because like they kept showing pictures of them, and like it looked like in the background was a park, and I was like, is that the park? Like, are they at the park? But they should have done more. I mean, this is the leg, right? You gotta go to those hotels. You gotta get that cab driver to give you the cell phone. You gotta, get on it. And if you got a bad cab driver, you gotta get a good one. In New Orleans, I'm sure you can get another cab driver.
You can get another cabbie immediately, and it's not a location that is like obscure. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah. It would be like, it would be obscure in Toronto if they said go to Earl Bales Park. Maybe that's a little bit obscure. But like most taxi drivers will know where every park is in the city. Like Uber drivers, maybe not, because they just follow GPS. But taxi drivers always know how to get everywhere. And New Orleans is such a tourist spot that I can't believe that he overshot it and took him to the front end where they're supposed to go to the back end. And why did they get out of the taxi and decided to run?
You're in the States. Like, I'm from Canada. With Canada, I would think this too. You want to get into a cab with a cell phone. Like, all you have to do is Google, take me to blah, 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 and they will give you the directions.
I don't know what happened there, but as I said, their cab driver didn't seem happy to be there.
He did not. No.
So I think that maybe because I know that they have to negotiate with them to let the camera crew and stuff like that come in. So maybe they were like, come on, you have to do it. Like maybe they were being forceful because they are in a race, and maybe he said yes, but begrudgingly. And so maybe he was just irritated, and I don't think that he meant to not get them where they needed to go, but I think that he wasn't happy that he was kind of maybe forced or urged unwillingly to take them,
Very possible, yeah.
Oh, it was really disheartening. I wrote down, Kareem did not look impressed. I was like, Kareem. So, info, let's party. So they pretty easy task. Will and James get there first, and then Hung and Chi eventually join them, where basically they're throwing different beads, as we know that happens in Mardi Gras. Does it always happen on the streets, or is it just, I guess it's not just Mardi Gras?
I think there's quite a number of celebrations that they do through the year, and I think I think it probably originated from that, but I think at this point now it's like party night is like every weekend at least.
is flashing and bead throwing night.
That's right.
Though the big gold beads and the big red beads, and they needed 50 of each, and it seemed as though Jane was being very meticulous about reading the clue multiple times. It was showed over and over and over again. How many times, like, I'm just going to read the clue. I'm just going to read the clue. And even one time, Will was like, why? When we were talking about the necklaces. Yeah. And James was correct that, like, they did have the wrong necklaces on. Why didn't they look at the example of the guy from the get-go?
I don't know if that part was in the clue. I never actually heard them read, like, go look at the person.
Yeah, it is.
As the example. It was? Okay, then I don't know.
Because definitely I heard it when Hung and Chi read theirs.
Oh, okay. Then if it was in there, then yeah, I don't know, because they seem to, I mean, that task though, really, it didn't do it. Like, they didn't have to do anything. They just stood there, and then they just had to keep asking, and then I think at certain points they were told, okay, now you can throw a red one, now you can throw a gold one up to the people up at top. And so there wasn't going to be anything that the back teams could do to push ahead here. Like, it was all staged to throw these necklaces. So
absolutely. And Will and James eventually figured out what they were doing wrong when they went to get their check, and they were able to, pivot and get the correct beads, and they still left first. But then, kind of like you're saying, no way to move forward. They're supposed to walk with the band, have the washboard, whatever musical instrument on, and get to this bakery. And so they had to walk with the band. And so they can't overtake anybody because they have to walk with the band. And so it kind of like also staggered out whatever the order was and made it a lot more difficult for anybody to overtake anybody, because it was activities that had to be done, and they couldn't be faster than anybody else. It's all in the same time.
Right.
So Will and James get over to the bakery. What was it called? I don't know. And Hung and Chi were still there. And finally, though, the Beard Bros figured out how to get there. Were they all there at the same time? I think they were, actually, out for a bit.
Yeah, I think they Will and James had just finished, and they were getting onto their float. I think it was like right away.
So they kind of joined, and they felt like they were still in it at that point. But the equalizer is going to be that march with the band to the bakery. Like, you can't make up time there at all. So I felt kind of bad for the Beard Bros, knowing that they can't do anything to kind of increase where their placement was. I was also saying, though, like, it didn't look like anybody was getting the right beads. I was like, what's happening? They're not getting the right, because the big ones, they looked very big, and the ones that I think that were even correct looked smaller than I imagined them to be, Yeah.
And I wonder if, they did show this, but I wonder if it was the same, 5 or 6 people that were throwing those beads, and, if a team, maybe that was, the thing to figure out, that maybe, who's got the beads, so that you just put your focus on them and be like, throw it, and just screaming at them, as opposed to just all these people throwing beads, right? You just pay attention to the ones that have it. I don't know. They may have all had beads, but
I don't know how they arranged that, but it wasn't the most dynamic of tasks, because it's just kind of waiting to see what you get, as opposed to being able to do anything well. Oh, okay, I picked that up really well. It's not. So the next roadblock is who's going to be left holding the baby. Have you ever had these king cakes before?
No. I'll try one though.
I'm not usually a dessert person. There's a few desserts that I like, usually ones that are not too sweet. I'd probably like a beignet, because I do like croissants, and I do like things that are not that sweet.
Right.
But I don't know if I don't think I've ever had though a king cake with the baby inside of it. Did they ever explain the reasoning for the baby?
No, I've heard of this tradition, and I don't know the reasoning behind it. I don't know if it's a good luck thing for like whoever gets it. Like, you know, with the Christmas pudding, like if you find the money in the pudding, then you're gonna have good luck that year. I don't know if it's something like, oh well, you'll be blessed maybe with a child, or
Okay, I'm just reading. I just pulled it up on Wikipedia, and it says king cake baby. Traditionally, a small plastic or porcelain baby is hidden in the king cake. Originally, the baby was placed in the cake to symbolize baby Jesus. Fava beans were also used to represent Jesus. Today, the baby symbolizes luck and prosperity to whoever finds it in their slice of cake. There we go.
Okay, very good. So yeah. So I mean. It was a great. This actually, I think, was a good challenge for Louisiana. I wasn't overly the second part of this task, the eating the donuts, whatever. But this finding the baby was interesting because this is a tradition that takes place down there, right? Like, and that's cool. So it was nice that they tied that in.
Do you think though that if Will hadn't started by like pressing down and like kind of kneading all the cakes, you think that people would have tried eating it? Like, how do you think that they would all come to that conclusion to find a baby that way?
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. I would have assumed just by the number of them, I would have been like, there's no way I'm eating all of them.
I'm just kind of thinking, like, Will knew that the baby was going to be pretty small, and he was there first, and so it's kind of like, you know, oh, let me follow the same way that he is doing it. I'm just curious if there would have been another way to attack that challenge if he wasn't there first. You know what I mean? They kind of all just followed along because it was working. I'm just curious.
I mean, the one thing I thought that might work would be actually using the trays because there was a lot that were on trays, and actually using the trays to flatten the dough down after a while. But I mean, they found it. He did a great job finding it. I mean, compared to the other two.
Well, he knew how small it was going to be, and I think that they didn't have any idea of like the size of it. They thought it was going to be a lot more obvious. So yeah, Will's like pretty much has a head start. He was really excited to be able to eat these king cakes. He's been to New Orleans before, so far all these tasks have been very familiar to him, including like knowing where Bourbon Street was. He didn't seem to have a problem finding Bourbon Street from the Louis Armstrong Park. So in there, he's just kneading away, trying to find these little babies. Next up, he could hear the music happening, and he knew it was going to most likely be Hung and Chi. And both of them come in, and Chi is going to be the one that is doing this task alongside Will. And so he followed along with the same like kneading technique to try to find the baby. Will, I believe, found it before Riley got there, correct? Or Madison got there, correct? I feel like he was.
Yeah, were they eating the donuts when?
I think
they arrived?
Eating the donuts when they arrived.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Because he was hiding the size of the baby from Chi, I think. I don't remember Madison being there yet. And so then after that, though, they only have to eat 6 dozen beignets between 2 people. I don't think that's a crazy amount of beignets. Do you? Like,
that's Ron and I's breakfast.
But like, I don't know, I can very easily eat 3 croissants. I can eat 6 croissants like at that point. Like the fact that Will was having so much trouble getting down 2 beignets, I thought that was very surprising, and I was confused by it.
Yeah, it might be one of those, maybe they've been going too fast and not processing what they're doing and just sort of stressing out about it. That did seem easy.
Very easy.
That task.
So would you have done that challenge, right? That would have been you.
Oh my God, I wouldn't have even chewed. I would have been like.
So
I know what my abilities are, and that I would have done well.
Eating cakes and beignets is you should put on your resume now as your special skills.
That's right.
So yeah, they get to Cafe Beignet. Riley and Madison. Finally, Will and James get down these 6 beignets. Like the fact that he was like gagging and he's sitting down, and it was quite dramatic, and I really just didn't understand why, because it wasn't that much like to eat. But who knows about their dietary restrictions? So maybe they can't have.
I said to Ron, because there was one point when I think Will like was holding it in his hand and he couldn't. He's like, I can't get this out. I would have like been like. This is $1 million. Don't worry about if somebody else has chewed it. I don't care. This is $1 million.
I would have loved to see that, actually. That would have been amazing. Okay, so they're done. They get out of there, thank goodness. And wait, well, the one line though before that I wrote down that James says, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bloat." About eating the bacon. James, it's okay to bloat. It's $1 million. Like,
you'll be fine.
Just bloat, you know. So they have to go to the New Orleans Convention Center, and so it's going to be a roadblock for the other person. So would we have made the correct decision? Like, you don't care about heights, correct?
I could actually. I didn't feel like either of these were that hard. I could have done either of the tasks.
Me too.
But I think if we went to a bakery, me and you went to a bakery, I think I would have said, I'll do this, because we would have been like, there's probably food involved. So
exactly. And if it's like, if you had to eat a lot, it might have been easier for you to eat. Like if you had to eat like 10 cakes or something, it might have been easier for you. So at the New Orleans Convention Center, they basically, the roadblock says, who wants to bridge the gap? And so there's a clue sitting in front of them off of a ledge, and they're basically going to free fall down and swing between like the panels of the convention center over the Mississippi River. And the other person had to do the roadblock. So who didn't do the beignets or the cake search was going to have to do this roadblock. And in this case, it was James. So James was pretty scared. He has a fear of heights, but he was pretty good. Like, he did it without like being like, oh, I can't do it. Like, he didn't show him wavering. So I was pretty impressed by that. No.
I think they were probably at the point where they were like, can you guys like pretend you're a little bit more nervous about this? You guys are doing really well or something. Cause I think or to add that tension, you know.
This isn't working editing wise. I can already tell that like there's not gonna be any overlaps here. So slow down. How did you feel?
You guys know how TV works.
Right? So how did you feel though when we go back to the Cafe Beignet, how Hung could see the baby sitting on like the pile of cake and she just could not see it? How'd you feel?
Yeah. I was like, this is awful. My gut at that point when I saw the baby on the thing and they kept showing it and then they were showing like Hung saying, "Oh, I can see it," and then I was like, this is actually taking longer than. And I mean, he went through everything and then was going layer by layer down, and this thing was like, it was tough to watch.
So sad, because it's kind of like, that Hung was like, okay, every moment that I'm staring at this baby on this pile of cake is like the more likely we're not winning this race. Such a like.
And how do you like? Good on her. How do you not sit there and be like? Like staring at the baby.
I know. And even with her being like, "You're doing good, hon." Like just in her head, just like.
Yeah, she even told him, "Stay focused," and I was like, "No, don't say that. You should be saying, look at your surroundings."
It's too obvious, though. Oh man, poor Hago. That would have been a tough pill to swallow, just watching her game go away with this stupid little baby on a pile of mush. Oh, Brutal. She did finally find the baby, so they were eventually able to leave. They didn't seem to have any problem eating those 6 beignets. Like, I mean, they're probably accelerating the editing there, but they seem to be pretty much in and out. And Riley Madison was still kind of stuck there and didn't really realize though how small the baby was until she found his and they were able to see how small the baby was, for sure. Oh, what's Adam saying? I haven't seen you in a while, Adam. How are you? Team needs to discuss secret codes in advance. I was just actually thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is that cheating? Is it?
Who cares? It's $1 million. Who cares? Cheat.
What if they said like, oh no, because you cheated, we give them time penalty or something like that?
Well, that's true, but I don't know if you come up with a good secret code. Like, I mean, like if there was a really good secret code, that would work. I don't know. I think that you can find a way, but that's true. That's how the alliance.
That's cheating, but also let's talk about alliances. Yeah. Is that cheating? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Secret code. Like, I remember, I think it was, what's her name? PG from Survivor. She said that she had earrings that she wore on Survivor that were like fishing hooks, I think it was. And so is that cheating? I don't know. But it was approved.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, there's been stories, so who knows?
Fine line for sure. Okay, so this is definitely for $1 million, and Hung was saying to Chi, like, don't talk about this, like, get this food down. It's $4 million. Like, let's go. Like, she was like not talking about the challenge, the baby being small, like, just eat, shut up and eat. This is for $1 million. Like, we could talk about this 2 years later, apparently, but like later. Hung is going to have to do the convention center bridge swing, and the darn producers are so horrible with like bringing back her epic
rappel.
What's it called? Whatever, going down
the reverse rappel down the
in Berlin. How she was screaming. They definitely had to put a clip of that back, just doing her dirty. But she is doing that. And she mentions that she has T-Rex arms, that she has short arms. So did you think that she was going to have to do it a second time?
I didn't think she would have to do it a second time. I did when I saw the bridge challenge. And after we knew that the other partner had to do it, I was like, oh no, they have focused on how tiny like she is. Is that like part of the reason they focused on that was this is going to be really difficult for her to do? But it wasn't. But I was like, oh no, this is not a good task for her.
No. But no, I was really happy though that she didn't have to do it a second time. They definitely set us up for that complete misdirect there. And yeah, it was 100 feet drop. I would have really enjoyed that one. I wouldn't be scared. I would more so be scared that I would just like my arm would do something that I wasn't expecting and drop the clue. Like that's something I would be scared of, that I might like, you know what I mean? Like if there's a jerk or whatever, and like, you don't know how you're going to react in the fall. And so I'd be more scared of that than the actual drop part, I think.
Oh, for sure. That would be in my head would be, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drop it. Like that, like, don't drop it.
The best part though was when James did it, and after he was done, he's like, how cool. And he's like, I'll never do it again. I was like, so cute. They had to rappel then after that down 180 feet to the ground, and they had to go to Mardi Gras World. So this is Will and James ahead of Hung and Chi, of course, and they had to find this gigantic ball that they had to roll. It seemed quite light, but it looked quite big. They were kind of in like a little, I don't know, base, and they had to like knock it out of the base and then roll this ball down the street to Mardi Gras World, which is like a big float party city, basically. Have you seen it before?
No, I mean, the ball I think looked like it came from Wipeout, the TV show Wipeout. Like that was giant. And then, yeah, pushing it down to the float. The floats looked really cool. That warehouse looked like, I think I would not want to sleep in that warehouse. There was a lot of statues with strange faces and eyes and stuff like that for me.
Clowns, right?
Right. So I was like, no, this is a little creepy. But it was, I mean, the floats look beautiful. And I can imagine in the parade is one of the best I've heard, is the Mardi Gras parade. So
I can imagine for sure. I mean, it's one of the things that the city is known for. So they better make it better and better each year. I didn't mention, but the first time that I teared up this episode was when Hung caught the clue. I did get a little teary-eyed. It was a sweet moment.
Yeah.
So Madison finally finds a little baby. Now he's headed over to the convention center to go and do the swing challenge. And it seems like the editors were trying to look like it was a competitive race, but Will and James were far out ahead of Hung and Chi. And so the next task that they had to do, they had the big ball. They're at the Mardi Gras World. They had to find a chest, not that difficult, but find a chest, and inside it has gigantic strips of pieces for them to cover this big ball that they've been rolling around in. It's a puzzle piece, but it's like a fabric puzzle piece that goes from like North Pole to South Pole with strips of a globe. How would you have done with this challenge? I think I would just have matched pieces to pieces. I wouldn't necessarily have known like, oh, that's this is Australia and this is the Dead Sea and this, I might not be able to recognize that, but I just would match it like a puzzle.
Yeah, I wasn't overly thrilled with this challenge. I found, I don't know, season 32, I think that last week's challenge would have been more challenging for the racers in this one. And it would have actually been interesting because the three teams wouldn't have worked together, right? It was definitely, I don't know, it's like a memory about that race. I feel like a puzzle of the world, like, I don't know, that doesn't seem like, I get that you have that extra bit of it being like a 3D puzzle because you have to put it on the ball, but I don't know, I don't see that as like a very challenging final challenge.
Well, especially when they've had terribly difficult ones where they had to like remember the flower that was on the lapel of the guest of each country, or this, there were so many other ones that are like that, putting the flags in order of where you visited them and place them on the map. And, there are other different ways that they had to remember the race that they were on and the activities that they did within the race. So whether it was like, okay, you had the ball from this and a pie from that, and you had to put them in order or whatnot. So they didn't feel like they utilized all the different tasks of the entire race in that final task, as much as they usually do, and what I usually expect them to do, putting them in order.
Like I remember a couple seasons ago, they did one where when it was on the one when they were, I believe, on the dates or whatever, and they kept taking photos throughout the race, and they had like a whole box of like 30 photos, and they had to put them in timeline order on a map of the world of when they took place. And it's like, that's like more challenging, in my opinion, like a memory of what I've done on this race, as opposed to just a puzzle.
Well, and even if they did the puzzle, but maybe instead the pieces were pertinent to the race and putting that in order, but like just being able to solve it as a puzzle was too easy because you just have to match it up together. Or maybe if they had to put in order their pieces of like which city I visit first and even place them on that gigantic map, like something else that kind of tied in the fact that they were racing around the world instead of just like doing a puzzle. So
like I would have liked them to have to maybe like make like the flag, make them into the flags of the countries they went to, and then put them onto the floats and have all these different floats in the room that represent the tasks or something. Like make it like challenging, but I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. We're, in my chair, I'm complaining.
exactly. But I mean, I think it was just a bit of a race design fail. That these last two legs, I think, were a little bit of a fail, I think. Phil says, great job this season to my favorite team of the season, Chantele and Phil. If you can see it for the rest of the season. Yeah. Thank you, Adam. Honestly, you've been really fun hanging out with us. We obviously love the Amazing Race. I haven't proposed this to Phil yet, but maybe we're gonna do Drag Race. I don't know. Is that something you want to chat to me about? I don't know. So there might be dream team to come in the new year. So hopefully we'll see you in our chat room still, Adam. Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays and Happy New Year if we don't see you beforehand. So still a couple of things left that happened on this race, even though it was pretty conclusive at this point that Will and James were pretty far ahead. They did mention that they practiced geography really far, so they did seem to recognize the different areas on the map, even without putting the pieces together. So that was good. They decided to lay the strips out on the floor and kind of piece it together that way to make it easier. Good strategy, obviously. And the first time they got a check, it wasn't perfect. And then they went and perfected it, and they were able to get it. And even within that time of them fixing it, Hung and Chi has not arrived yet. So they're heading to the pit stop now, and Hung and Chi hasn't even gotten to Mardi Gras World. So I really loved it, though. They're going to the Superdome, and they get the route info. And you just, I'm going to cry a little bit, but, James was like, we did it. And I love the fact that it was something that was his dream. And he auditioned many, many times. And he even says it when they cross the finish line that he applied with multiple people, multiple different times. And with his life partners, who he wants to spend his life with is the person that he was able to not only compete on it, but actually cross the finish line and win. And so I was just I was really touched though, because I love seeing people actualizing their dreams and following through with something that they really, really wanted so badly and having the outcome of success. So I was really, I loved the ending of it. Running into the Superdome, holding hands, getting to the mat. You could tell that they were pretty shocked that they actually won the race. And then to top it off, Will proposes to James.
Yes. It
was just I thought it was a pretty great moment. I'm like, oh my God, you had that ring in your pocket this whole time.
Yes, I'm going to be very sentimental as well and say that it's very touching to see that kind of thing on television. We don't see that very much. And so it was nice to see.
Catan after? I actually am playing after. Am I playing you? Are you in the league with me, or have I just talked about
it? Adam's playing in Catan, too.
Wait, is he playing you, though?
Uh-oh.
I am playing today. I don't know who's in Oh, my God. This is hilarious. So I'm like, have I talked about Catan on here? Okay. It's totally fine, but it was surprising because my game is at 8. And
no secrets.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sentimental about James. I'm here.
Yeah, so it's nice to see those kinds of things on television. You don't see it very often, where a gay couple, gets that kind of spotlight on them. I thought it was wonderful how much James had pushed throughout the race, how much this race meant to him. And I think that that's a good way of wrapping up that narrative, is that he won. It's always nice to see people that win that really want to and get it. And usually that happens. So that's good. And no, I mean, it was nice. I mean, they said some nice things. They were obviously way ahead because it felt like an eternity of them standing on the finish mat before anybody else showed up. They honestly, I know I haven't been cheering for them through this race, but they are a good team and they do deserve the win. They did a great last leg. So, and they were smart about the race.
They were playing to win. So Dolores had said in the beginning, but I wanted to save it to the end. Hi, guys. I'm not a Will and James fan, but I kind of got a little soft heart at the end. That was a very, very, very romantic and so well-deserved. They did have a really good last leg. Because we were saying that it looked really easy, but Hung and Chi, as well as Raleigh and Madison, they had trouble this leg.
Struggle.
So we could also say that they made it look easy because they were that good, to be fair. Because many other teams could have easily struggled with any of those tasks.
And they had like, how many firsts did they have in the race? Like three or four, right?
Four, like a lot.
Like, I mean, they were strong. They weren't just. This wasn't just like a crapshoot, like final leg. Like, they were a strong team through it, and strategically, like, I mean, they were one of the front runners of, I think, this alliance and putting it together and making sure that throughout the race the alliance did work together. I know that they got a lot of valuable information, and they were the ones that made the move on the teams that weren't part of the alliance. So, I mean, it's a pretty flawless race. Now, was I screaming at the top of my lungs? No, I can't lie. I was hoping that Hung and Chi could pull it off. I think that they ran a great race, and I felt like their story meant a lot. And I always, for some reason, cheer for the older couple. And even though they're younger than me, they're the older couple this season. But you know, it was nice. They well deserved, Will and James.
Definitely, I've kind of had a feeling that they must have won because they had they're doing all their podcasts and like kind of just talking about where they were feeling about the race. And I was just kind of thinking that they probably wanted to document more stuff. They wanted to talk about the race that they've been keeping quiet for 2 years about the fact that they won it. And so I think that that's why they had so much content that they've been spilling about the race. And I was like, I wonder if they win because, you know, they're being just so on stage about the race even before the race has ended. So I did have an inkling, but I definitely that grew from when the actual show started. Like, it didn't start that way for me, but I'm happy that I picked them on my draft.
And how many times on the race? Yeah, how many times on the race did they say, "Well, we practiced that at home before the race"? Like so many times. Like that's a clue to people that are going to go on the race. Like, practice some of the silly stuff that you're like, oh, they'll probably never do that again. But it might be something the same. Like, try it.
Exactly. Like, if you're going to go on sequester, like, learn how to blow ping pong balls up a board. You know, have you seen sequester? or having a spoon and putting the spoon like. But those are things I would definitely practice. Doing plastic spoon stuff and blowing ping pong balls is things I would practice for the sequester. Yes. And I'd learn how to drive stick, and I'd see how I do with memorizing things, doing bungee jumps, like, so there were certain things that they did do that I will be practicing balancing things on my head. Like, that's just the thing. I will be.
You never know.
Blindfolded, like everything. I don't know. I'd just be doing everything. I'd be like, yeah, what should we do, guys? We should just practice something. So, yeah, it took pretty much forever for anybody else to show up. But I kind of wish that, well, no, it would take away the moment from the other teams. But, like, I did want Hung and Chi and Raleigh and Madison to have been there for the proposal. But I do understand that it would have been kind of overshadowing them finishing the race. So timing-wise, I get it for sure. But it was definitely...
Yeah, I do think that, though, those two teams actually probably would have been the most happy for Will and James.
And the Cajun agents, Michelle and Victoria, they're besties still now.
Yeah.
And they did cut to them a lot when it was happening. They're quite smiley. So how Will... this is going to make me cry again. So how Will, though, says the proposal, he's like, your dream was to be on The Amazing Race. My dream was to spend the rest of my life with you.
Oh,
so sweet. So sweet. I do have a heart, guys. I do have a heart. And I don't know who said it.
I sort of hope.
Great day was the last line that I heard from them. And then we see Hung and Chi come in. They were really happy and proud of themselves. And I loved their outro videos where they're just kind of like, I fell in love with Chi even more after this race, and he was kind of being like, I know this is like my partner for life. So I love the deepening of the relationship between Hung and Chi throughout this race, especially being parents. Like they're saying this was like their honeymoon, which it was, because they got to be themselves doing amazing things, and I'm really happy that they got to have that experience together.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, like, they're probably every week their kids are so excited to watch the show, right? To see what did their parents do. This, like I was saying before about, like, we don't really always get to see gay couples, especially when it comes to proposing marriage and stuff. I cannot even remember the last time we've seen an Asian American team on The Amazing Race that was a couple in love and got very far in the race. I mean, I've got to look back and try and remember when the last Asian couple team was on the race, but they were such a great couple overall. Like, I don't know, I really like them. I hope All Stars, I hope they get asked, because I think they're strong enough that they could run it again and do really well. So,
well, they definitely will see where their errors that they make, and it seems as though it's actually Chi paying attention to detail, which was interesting, because I think that's what Hung has been relying on Chi on, is like he's usually more detail oriented and focused. So I think that's something that I could see Chi improving on and coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
I think that they would definitely be still a top performing team if they came back with any other top performing teams. I would love to see them race again. I definitely think they are worthy of the invite. And then poor Riley and Madison, though, they really felt defeated. I know that they were happy to finish the race. I'm sure they were happy that basically their friends for the entire race, they were there as well. But it just looked that they were just broken down.
They were, yeah. I mean, they're from the sports world, so they were playing to win, and probably a little deflated with the energy from not having a good leg. They were used to always having a good leg. I mean, they really didn't struggle too much this whole race, so that was their worst probably leg. Like, so that's tough. That's tough for them. So disappointing. They weren't like bad.
I was going to say they probably would have been better off if they did poorly at least once in there, because then they would figure out how to pivot more quickly. Or, if they've had a bad taxi driver at one point, they would know, like, okay, stop, call somebody else. Like, let's find where we need to go. You know what I mean? They might have already experienced that. And so it wouldn't be what should we do? Should we get out?
So true.
They would have had an idea of what needs to be done in the moment and some quick thinking. So I think that because the race was so easy for them, essentially, to stay at the top of the pack, that they were never faced any adversity. And because of that, they didn't know how to handle any hiccups, because they never really experienced any. Poor guys.
Yeah.
Poor guys.
I think, though, as much as, like, I mean, I like them. I never really have any problem with them. I thought they were a strong team. I'm glad, though, that they didn't win, just based on, I really felt that this season was about the cast and everything. And I think that the two teams that were in the running for first, they were really good characters, and they made people on the couch go, oh, like, this is nice to see on my TV. And they're just everyday people that could win.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you there. Like, I think we even said last week, I was like, I wanted either Hung and Chi or Will and James to win. Like, I would be happy either way. I thought that Riley and Madison had a really big shot at winning, but I think it would have been more satisfying for the other two teams, one of them to win. And so not only the fact that they were on my draft team and that I had two people on my draft team, I know three.
Oh, sorry, wait. No. Well done. You and were they your first pick?
Riley and Madison.
I don't think they were.
Riley and Madison were my first pick.
Yeah.
I think they were my...
Yeah, Will and James, I think, actually were a little bit down.
They weren't my last pick, but I think they were my fourth pick, I think. But I wanted them
Yeah,
though. They were like my number 2 pick on my like they were on my list no matter what. And I think I originally had them higher than the father-son team. But I was like, oh, but like maybe like the basketball coach. So I switched my mentality with them because I didn't even have the father-son on my list at all, and then I changed it. So I might have put Will and James higher if I had a little bit more knowledge about Jerry and Frank beforehand. But I was always happy that you didn't pick them because I wanted them on my team for sure. They're definitely in my top.
Yeah.
I think all the top 5 were.
Maybe not. Congratulations.
Pardon?
Congratulations on our first draft against each other. You get the points. Congratulations.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, do you think that you would want to do Drag Race?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Drag Race. I've watched them over and over and over again, and I love Drag Race UK. I thought that the first season of that was probably one of the best RuPaul Drag Races that I've seen. I love the UK one, and I know that's coming out soon, the UK too. But yeah, no, definitely, I'm all in for that. Or if Survivor ever comes back, I'll be in there for that as well. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect.
I loved it. I really appreciated this.
I know I thought it was a lot of fun. We definitely got a lot of traction, getting around like 700, 1,000 views for each episode. So I was really, really happy that people were enjoying this content. It was super fun doing with you. I'm so happy that, even you bringing in the surveys, I thought that was a really great addition. Made it a lot of fun. And so maybe we can figure out a way to make Drag Race a little bit more fun. I wouldn't be surprised if JoJo and Jonathan wanted to either be part-time hosts or do it the whole thing. I'm not sure, but maybe we can figure out something for the 4 of us or 3 or 4 of us to do on a regular basis. Like, I don't know if it's a survey type thing or what kind of amazing fun thing that you can concoct or we can concoct that we can add to our little Drag Race podcast.
I love it. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll have to listen to what the category is in the show, and maybe when we come on, all look towards that category. Maybe we'll make ourselves look fabulous.
Woo!
Category is.
Okay, we're on to something. We're definitely on to something here. Are you working on anything else, though? I know it's going to be holiday seasons coming up. This is the last week before everybody's kind of home for the holidays if they aren't already. Do you have anything going on?
Yeah. Well, nothing crazy. This Saturday I am hosting Christmas. I call it my Zoom Rooms of Doom, but it's holiday season. And it's a sequester-esque game org that people will be playing with me on Zoom. And then,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I guess I will be starting my... I remember sending you one. You should go back into your email, to your messages.
Email or messages? Email?
On your Facebook. And... Yeah, double check. You've been busy. You've had a lot of orgs going on. So, and then I'm going to be doing my 39th Phil's Facebook Survivor, probably starting in January. And it is my final year of Facebook Survivor. I think I'm going to be doing my final sets of orgs. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, only you would like to make it on a grander scale and make it more profitable, or just done.
I think I'm done with. I mean, I've been doing the Survivor on Facebook since 2008, so that's been going on for a long time. But I think I'm going to do something else, and probably still some sort of online reality game. But yeah. It's coming, and who knows? You've inspired me with podcasting. Yay! I love this podcasting. Who knows? Maybe.
Do it! Absolutely. I mean, I love to be a guest. I love talking about this stuff ad nauseum, so I'm into it. I say yes for sure. 100%. There's room for all of us. Let's go. Super fun.
That's right.
And if you guys are interested, I am playing right now in an online reality game, Big Brother Cheesecake. It's All Stars. I won season 3, so I'm coming back to hold onto my crown. See if it can happen again. So if you want, I don't know if I put it in yet, but there should be a link in the description box below as to where you can see the daily episodes. And then there's going to be also on Reality Realness a weekly recap of the events of the house and the exit interview for each house guest. So if you're interested in having a kind of a little silly online reality game, Big Brother format, and me playing it, we'll see if you want to join us and hang out and chat with us. So this is the last time. It was so much fun. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000.
It was great.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Please. And if you have any other shows that you would love us to talk about, let us know in the comments, or find us on social media. We're definitely open to finding new content because we love talking about reality TV, and we usually watch most of it. So I don't know, just mention that you're interested in it, and we'll definitely take a look and see if something we can bring to you guys, our discussions. It's been a slice, Phil.
What? It's been great. I've enjoyed it.
So
the
good.
next race.
Next race.